Hi, and welcome to this episode of HR and Cocktails. For those of you that are new, HR and Cocktails is a podcast about all things HR. Today, I'm joined by Cheryl Brown, attorney at Davis, Agnor, Rapaport, and Skalny, and we'll be talking about the benefits and the risks of using AI in the workplace. So Cheryl, welcome.
Thank you, Kimberly, for having me back. I'm so excited.
Yes, I'm definitely excited to have you here today. Well, before we even talk about our topic, tell me a little bit about you and your law firm.
So my name is Cheryl Brown.
Yes.
I am a labor and employment attorney at Davis, Agnor, Rapaport, and Skalny. I've been with the firm for a little over 12 years. I head up their labor and employment practice, and we're part of the business transactional group, which represents business owners throughout the greater DMV area.
Yes. Very popular law firm.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and Cheryl's definitely my favorite labor and employment attorney.
Aww.
Yes, we run into each other all the time. Absolutely. So today we're going to talk about AI, so artificial intelligence. But before we even get into the topic of how to use it in the workplace, can you help us with what is AI? I think that in the world of ChatGPT, people think AI is just ChatGPT or Copilot. What is AI?
So AI, artificial intelligence,
Yes.
really, we have been using it for a very long time. It is integrated in almost everything we do. Even driving here, I had my GPS on, and all of a sudden my Siri is talking to me and telling me where to go. You, even on your phones, they will recommend what to say before you even say it on your phones. And that's an example of AI. Any search engine that you have and that you're Googling at work is a form of AI. Facebook, all our social media is a form of AI as well. Why AI has become such a popular term or use, probably, and I'm not an expert, it could be because of ChatGPT. And everyone is talking about it, even from university and school levels to large corporations to healthcare. What can AI do for us as a society? What are the pros of AI? How can it make us more efficient, better operated? And then what are the disadvantages and the kind of the scary points of AI?
Yeah.
Because, with, everything, it's how you use it and the way you use it. And if it's efficient and makes you more productive, absolutely use it.
Right.
What we don't want to do is use it in an improper way that exposes, and I'll use organizations since we are HR employment like-minded people. We don't want to use it in a way that exposes an organization to claims of any type of discrimination, anything like that. So.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to dive into this a lot more. But before we do that, let's get a drink.
Absolutely.
Yes. So
Thanks.
what drink would you like today?
So today I chose a strawberry mezcal margarita.
All right.
Margaritas are my favorite, so I'm happy to share that with you.
I love it. So we will have a strawberry mezcal margarita coming up.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, so Cheryl, you chose a strawberry mezcal margarita.
I did. Margaritas are my favorite.
Okay.
You can't go wrong with a margarita. And this is a twist on spring margaritas because strawberries are going to be in season.
I love
And I thought it would be fun to try a fresh strawberry with the smoky mezcal margarita.
I love
Super
that.
excited.
Okay, I'm excited too. So we're going to start by salting our rims. So we're going to take a little bit of lime, and I'm only going to do a partial rim because I don't necessarily like it to go all the way around. So that's what we're going to do.
Smells really good.
I know, the strawberries do smell really
strawberries.
good. So we're just going to dip the part that we just salted in, this part that we just dipped into the salt so that we can get this good.
Yeah, I don't love salt, so I appreciate the look.
Okay,
just a little kiss,
just a little
kiss of salt on there. That's perfect.
Exactly, and then we'll put some ice in our glass. So once we are ready to pour our drink, it is ready for us. All right.
And it probably is a good placeholder for the strawberry on the salt side.
Ah, yeah.
And I'm guessing.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna put it right next to it for the decoration. So you are absolutely correct. And I'm not gonna do too much of this ice.
Okay.
Me and this ice container, I'm gonna tell you. So we're gonna just sit that right here. So then we're gonna start by putting some strawberries in our shaker, and we're gonna muddle them. And so
I've never muddled strawberries.
I actually don't think that I have either. So we're gonna muddle them and see how this works out.
Glad Kimberly's doing this.
I know, it's very chunky.
It smells good.
It does smell good, but it's very chunky. So we're gonna have to use our big strainer. All right, perfect. So then we're gonna start with our mezcal, which is a smoky tequila. I'm sure you can make this with regular tequila if you're not a mezcal fan, because everyone's not. So we're gonna do 4 ounces. This is a double portion, so you can, as I always say, you can do both. You can have both portions.
Can't really go wrong.
You cannot. You cannot.
Especially
You cannot. Not with, something good like this.
Good like
Exactly. All right, so then we're gonna do 2 ounces of Cointreau. Cointreau is a triple sec, so you can use regular triple sec. I like Cointreau because it's an orange liqueur, but I like Cointreau better than a regular triple sec because it just has a better, smoother taste. So we're gonna do 2 ounces of
I think it
Cointreau.
ups your margarita.
It does. It
Makes
does.
it ups
takes
the-
it to the next level. I agree. I agree. And then we're going to do 1 ounce of lime juice. So I squeezed my lime. This is fresh lime juice. You know, I always say to use fresh juice and not to use that concentrate stuff. And then we're just going to do like a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of agave. You can do simple syrup if you want, but because tequila is made from agave, I just squeeze some.
people, do you make your own simple syrup?
I have.
She have.
I have. But when I make my simple syrup, we're going to put some ice in here. Usually when I make my own simple syrup, it's because I want to infuse it with something. Like, some type of spices. Like in the fall, I'll do a spiced simple syrup with like allspice and cloves and stuff like that.
Okay, great.
Yes. So we're going to shake.
Can I shake?
Oh, please, by all means.
As long as it doesn't go everywhere.
Yes.
I like the shaking part. That's the most fun.
I gotta like shake.
I know, but the lids, I felt like the lid was going to go
No, it's
off.
not. All right, we got to get that strawberry in there.
Oh, this is
Okay.
going to be really good.
All right, I think it will be. So we're gonna use the big strainer just because I know we have our strawberry.
Oh, yeah.
because we have.
I wish you
our
could see it.
strawberry. They will when I pour it out. All right. All right, there it is. There's our strawberry margarita.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this. This is amazing.
I know.
And you did very well.
I know. It looks a little light, but that's okay. So we're gonna put our strawberry on the side. I think, yes, there we go. And then we're gonna put a little sprig of mint in it to make
This
it look
is
pretty.
awesome.
And then here we go with our little
Straws.
Yes. All right. So here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Ooh. It's hearty.
That is good. That'll knock your socks
it will,
off.
It will. It's
It is
good.
super good.
Yeah, but if you don't want to use mezcal, use a regular tequila. It will be great.
Cheers.
All right, Cheryl. So the margaritas are strong. But I think what I learned about this recipe is make sure that you put enough ice in your shaker to shake it up and kind of brings down some of the flavor. I think I also would have added a little more Cointreau and a little more agave.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think, honestly, the first taste of any margarita is probably a little bit strong. And this definitely did not disappoint. But it is a wonderful drink for the spring and even summer.
Yes. No, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I just think for me, I would just tweak it a little bit.
Oh, no. I agree. I agree. Absolutely.
Yes.
So.
All right. So back to AI. We talked a little bit before we got our drinks about, some of the benefits. Mm-hmm. So when we think about AI, especially in the world of HR, right? So we know that we have recruiting tools that we can use that incorporate HI. There's even some, productivity tools that can be used that use AI. So when we think about some of the benefits, what are some of the benefits of leveraging those to manage efficiency and even from an HR perspective?
Sure. I think you mentioned the first would be efficiency. I think HR leaders are becoming more strategic, especially in the employment field right now. And in order to track data analytics or to become performance evaluations, make your supervisors and managers even more efficient, if they have the ability to just easily on their phone plug in numbers, and then you can generate scores, and you can look at that, and you can look at the overall benefits of how you run reports. And there's so many things you can do with AI to make the HR professional way more efficient in what they do. That allows HR to then focus more on the strategic side and really offer more value to the company.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I know that there are some HRAS tools, so HR information systems that are integrated into payroll systems that can even predict likelihood that someone would leave the organization, right? So and they use a variety of data points that I'm not sure what goes into it. But they say that they can kind of let you know whether or not they think someone is a flight risk, right? So when you're looking at how systems are pulling various pieces of data to inform managers, what would you say to managers when they receive that information? Like, how should they use it as one data point, but not their only data point to determine,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think AI is capable to replace the human aspect of things.
Yeah.
And while we can crunch the numbers and we can run the reports, it cannot interpret what's happening in an individual situation, what could be impacting their, I guess, unhappiness at the workplace, or maybe they're not performing as well as they should. What changed from last year to this year? And so you still need to communicate.
Yes.
Sometimes we refer to them as stay interviews, but it's really just check-ins with our supervisors and managers to make sure that everybody is communicating at the same level and understanding if someone is underperforming and the why that is.
Yeah.
We can't always rely on the numbers. It does make it helpful, and I think, and then the other aspect of it, and I don't know, we'll probably get into this later, is AI, doesn't look at all those protected classes that we as HR professionals or labor and employment attorneys also have to look at.
Yep.
They just see a number. They're not going to see, how old the person is, how young the person is, what, nationality they are, are they a veteran? Are they in the military? Like, there's so many different factors that you can't take away from that face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's important. Like, if you're getting data from AI, if you're getting a data piece that says this person's a flight risk or this person's, engagement level is low, that you dig into that. Like you said, that you have that conversation, that you're not just looking at that and then automatically calling the recruiter saying we need to replace this position because this person's probably going to leave. Like, we really don't know that, right? And so we do have to have those conversations and that personal touch to really understand, like, what's behind this. This should really just be for me to kind of be like, oh, wow, I may need to check in a little bit more. I may need to pay a little bit more attention, but not necessarily for me to make a decision from, right? Yeah, for sure. And so while there are benefits and AI can give us data and, bring things to our attention that we may not have otherwise, thought about. What are some of the risks?
So, like we said, AI has been around a lot longer than we've probably been talking about it. With that said, there have already been court cases that have evaluated AI and the claims for discrimination, the class action lawsuits. So recently I read an article where a company was using AI to focus in on hiring a certain demographic of applicant, and they put age parameters around that. They didn't want they wanted to make sure that that person was between the age of, 25 and 45. So when you start putting parameters around your AI tools to go out and find applicants, now you're leading into a possible, which is, in this case it was, class action age discrimination case.
Right.
And the court said, no, you can't do that. I mean, we know that there are small exceptions to certain parameters, but in this case, that was not it. The other one was AI learns as it navigates. So as it gathers information, it's continuing to learn. So I think Amazon was another example of a case where they were using AI in a way to bring in applicants, and because Amazon had described the job, it was attracting a certain demographic of person, and again, it led to a discriminatory action filed against Amazon in that case. So you have to be very careful in how you utilize that tool. While it can create those efficiencies, it can also lead to discrimination, and we do not want that.
Right. Exactly.
We try to avoid that.
Exactly. Absolutely. We definitely want to avoid that.
Yes.
But when we think about how, organizations are starting to use various tools that, and to your point, like, I think that it is not as evident to people that AI has been on the scene for a long time, even when you could do, a keyword search on a resume or filter resumes by keywords or, certain things, right? It was a different, it wasn't as advanced of a version of AI as we have now, right? But it was still a thing. And so with that, how can we, as businesses and HR professionals and leaders, utilize that data, but also ensure fairness? How do we balance that? Because, like you said, the machine is learning, and it's it could be learning bad behaviors, because anything that can learn good or bad, right?
Right.
So how do we manage that? How do we know? How do we leverage that?
So again, you can't rely on it 100%. It does provide efficiencies. It does help us. It's a tool. It's a tool to assist us in making our job a little easier. But it's not the only tool that we as HR professionals or organizations should rely upon in whether it's attracting a diverse pool of applicants, making sure that you are looking outside to different resources, and not just programming one thing and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. I would caution any organization that relies on it 100% to make sure you look elsewhere. And, if you want to put something out on Monsters and also on, LinkedIn, that's great. And then you can also generate collection data based off of that as well. But yeah, I would say look elsewhere to avoid that reliance upon that.
And what would you say to organizations? Because there are a lot of organizations that are like, we don't want AI. We don't want to use AI. Like, is that even a real thing?
I'm going to get myself in trouble because I'm a labor and employment attorney, but oftentimes I think people who don't want to use AI as the older generation because they don't know about it. I will just say myself, I will speak personally. I don't know everything about AI that I should know in the utilization of it. And I think as attorneys, we are hesitant to rely 100% on AI because we've even been told that the case law is like 4 to 6 months behind. So we still have to make sure we research it. Even if we draft something using AI, we are told, review your work, make sure that it is up to date and it is what you want to say. Don't just submit something based on AI. So the hesitancy is just, I think, the unknowing of what or how AI can help you. And so I think it's just a learning curve. I think, moving into the future, we're all going to reach a comfort level where we probably rely on it more and more. And I think also people are afraid that if they rely on AI too much, it's going to take their job. So if they say, oh, well, if AI can do everything that I can do, then I may not have a job. So therefore, I don't want to bring AI into my department.
Right.
Because I can do this better.
Right. And I think that that's some of what we hear is like, because leaders or business owners may not understand all of AI. So they're
Right.
afraid, and the headlines are that it's bad.
Right.
It's going to take all your proprietary information and, all of these things. And it can only do that if you put it in there. But then the second thing is that they think that it's going to take away jobs. And so I've heard businesses say, we don't allow AI in our business. And I just don't know that could possibly be a fully true
Well,
statement.
I think it's already there.
And it has
It's
been.
already there.
Yeah, it has been. If someone has a smartphone, then
Right.
AI is in your building.
If you do a Google
use-
search, it
correct.
recommends
It does.
places to look. And that's an example of AI.
Correct. So I think that it's important for businesses to understand that, like you said, AI is a tool that they can use.
Right.
It exists. It's been here. And that, I guess the prevalence of ChatGPT and the others, so Gemini, Copilot, all the other ones that now everybody's utilizing. I mean, now I logged into Adobe Suite, and Adobe Suite has its version of AI. Like, it's like, hey, let me recommend something to you. Would you like to start a document? Would you like to, do this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that those tools are useful. And and so I think that it's important for businesses to start to learn, business owners to start to learn about how it can be a tool.
Right.
I was doing something, I can't remember what I was preparing for. I was preparing I needed to do a debriefing exercise on an activity. And I was like, hey, give me a debriefing exercise on an activity that included X, Y, and Z. It was great. It was perfect. I just tweaked it a little bit, but it would have taken me an hour or more,
Right.
or even, quite honestly, or we just wouldn't have had a debrief activity, let's be honest.
Right.
And so to be able to get that and to just tweak that is an efficiency tool. These are things that I think that businesses should really start embracing, but understanding the limitations and starting to train people. So what are you seeing from a policy perspective? What kind of policies are businesses putting into place around AI and the use of AI?
Well, and that's a great question, because I think the businesses that are not embracing it want to have a policy that, we're not allowed to use, ChatGPT, and, you need to stay away from AI. So some people want to put those policies in place. But again, that's really hard to navigate what that looks like. If there is an AI policy in place, it allows your workforce to understand the parameters, understand that leadership values it as a tool, but doesn't rely upon it solely, allows people to be creative, talk about it. Even at our law firm, we have a AI committee now. So we're looking at how we navigate that in the legal profession. And I think businesses, they should start talking about it. They should embrace it. They should understand it. They should train employees on it and have a policy on its use. Yes, you have to protect, in our firm, client information, proprietary information, trade secrets. We want to put the parameters so the employees know. You can't just program in our sales rates and or commission rates, or we're not sharing that because it goes in. I don't know. Goes into the cloud, I guess. I don't know where it goes. And then, at what point does it remain confidential once it's kind of out there? So I recommend having some type of policy around it, depending on what the use is and what the leadership, how they value it and what they see it being used in their organization. Because every organization will be different.
Yeah.
The way we use it is different from other companies as well. So
Yeah.
I would recommend a policy.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily an unrealistic policy of we don't do AI in our company.
Right.
That's just not realistic.
It's not realistic. Mm-mm.
So you mentioned an AI committee. What does the AI committee do?
Well, it's part of our technology committee. So
okay,
I would
got
say
it,
that
got it.
because AI in the law is something that I think we appreciate from the client privileged kind of viewpoint, confidentiality, any type of trade secrets or proprietary, because we're a business practice law firm. I don't want that information out there. Understanding the limits of AI, and when we are filing any of our litigation cases, the use of AI, knowing you can't just say write a motion and then submit it. But our younger associates, they want to use AI, and we also want to not have them rely on AI and have them grow and say, okay, let's do it the old-fashioned way and write a brief. Now I'm saying
I know.
But at the same time, they can teach us a lot of information and say, okay, this is how we can make it more efficient. And then we can have a conversation about what that looks like. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
and it reminds
it's just
me,
navigating it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it reminds me of thinking about, because you have, children that learned how to drive in the world of technology, right?
Yes.
So I think to
Yes.
myself, like, what would my daughter do when she learns how to drive without a backup camera? We didn't have backup cameras when we were learning how to drive. So I think about those types of things. It's almost a similar analogy.
Right.
Like, now they have so much technology to know when somebody's in their blind spot, where we had to like turn our neck, and look.
Yeah, I don't think my younger kids actually put their hand on the back of the seat and then turn their neck.
Exactly. Or back up, and park and have to look on,
Right.
So I think that if we think about it from that perspective, it is a tool. I certainly don't rely on it. I see the little blind spot blinker and I still look over to make sure, or if I don't see it, then I still look over. So it's a tool. And so we do have to embrace it and figure out how do we use it, and also, incorporate some of the, I guess, older practices with some of the newer practices to, create something that makes sense. So absolutely. And so are there any, aside from, the feeding the machine, and potential discrimination, are there any other ethical or, just legal concerns related to the incorporation of AI in business, particularly in the world of HR?
Well, I think the other concern was photo images, and kind of when people walk in to the place of employment, we have cameras that will scan your image, and then utilizing that information. We always worry about what use that is. I'm trying to think what else we have that we are concerned about. I mean, the biggest thing is, probably just relying on it solely because you have to have the conversations. You have to get to know your employees and understand the full situation. I'm trying to think from an HR standpoint, if there's anything, what are your clients seeing or not seeing in the workplace?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know that we've seen so many AI concerns, incidences, in as much as just the uncertainty. And should we let people use it? Should we block it? Should we have a policy? What should our policy include or exclude? I think it's more questions than practical real life concerns.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's anecdotal, the things that they're thinking about.
We just have to navigate it.
Yeah.
understand how we use it, and then invite me back in a year and we'll reevaluate
Yes.
what that looks like and how we are all
Yes.
using it now. That's
You'll
probably what we're
definitely
gonna
be
do.
you'll
So,
definitely be back in a year.
what
You'll
we'll
probably
do.
be back in a couple of months. All right. Well, but the last thing to think about is, I know we talked about using it as a tool, not relying on it heavily, but is there a balance between, having that human touch and human interaction, whether it's from performance evaluations to recruiting, and really leveraging the efficiencies with the human touch? Like, how do we balance that and make sure that we're doing that efficiently?
So I always, in the law firm, we always say, is AI going to replace attorneys? And I like to say no, maybe because I am an attorney, but it's because as attorneys and as HR professionals, we are trained to understand the psychology of our clients or of our employees and help them navigate what that looks like. And until AI can take that part over, which I don't think is anytime soon, we are still going to remain relevant. And I think as business owners, you need to empower your supervisors and managers to understand, I like to say it's their superpower, to understand that ability to interact with employees and not solely rely on the numbers. Yes, we can make our jobs more efficient. And yes, we will all use AI. But don't underestimate that relationship in trying to navigate a solution, a better path forward, a better employee, whatever that looks like.
No, thank you. Definitely. I agree 100%. There's always that balance that needs to happen between just the human connection, right?
Yeah.
That you just will not have with a machine, or at least anytime soon. According to movies, it will happen, but right now, it has not happened.
Right.
So, Cheryl, thank you so much for joining and talking about this important topic, because it's something that business owners are thinking about.
Right.
Yeah, leaders are thinking about.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having me.
Yes, and thank you for joining us for this episode of HR and Cocktails.